If you don't understand the role that myth plays, then you don't really understand how the human mind works. All of these cultures, be it the most ancient or the most modern, show this propensity of the human mind to relate everything to a story, a sequence of events in which they are involved and to which there is some sort of direction towards meaning. We don't have really clear insights into what the most ancient prehistoric myths were. But beginning with some of the earliest myths that we do have, from the Epic of Gilgamesh on through the Egyptian myths of, say, Osiris, Isis, Horus, the Greek myths, from the earliest stage of human evolution, it would appear that people have been telling these stories, these cosmic stories, these myths, to define the world around them and to allow each member of a tribe in the prehistoric sense, or each member of a city-state or a nation, to participate in that story. That grounding in a world, turn to, say, Greece, it's grounding them in a world dominated by the gods of Olympus. It's a world whose history is wrapped up in warfare, in heroism, in valor. It's a grounding in a world that, a very Greek world, that emphasizes honor and masculinity and shows these sorts of traits as being something that presumably the listener who would be hearing these recitations of the Homeric myths, the Iliad and the Odyssey, that it would bring them into a world and inspire them to emulate that in some sense. So the value is twofold. One is just to create a kind of background, a drama in which any person is participating in. But that participation is the second part. The person should in some way integrate this myth, integrate the story. You do see an increase in complexity from the most ancient to the later myths, but in all cases, you have to look at it as a way to ground the person in the world as conceived of by that culture. So I don't think it's necessarily proper to denigrate, say, a Native American myth because it's simpler, because it had the potent effect needed to bring, say, a Sioux tribesman into the world he or she would inhabit. But it's undeniable that, especially with the advent of the written word and literacy, that the complexity of these stories grows over time, over historical time. It gives you a sense of where we're at, where we will possibly go, and I think on a personal level, if you yourself are a believer, if you yourself are part of these religious traditions, to really understand them is to really understand what your tradition is imbuing you with and what direction your tradition is moving you into. A broader global comparative mythology shows you, first and foremost, I think, how unique and different each culture is in their approach to a cosmic story, to a myth. They're very different as you move from, say, the Mediterranean into India and into China. But there are all these common themes, common archetypes that emerge in these myths, and with that you can also see that innate unity of the human mind, the human soul, and ultimately the human story.